All right, today we are talking about printers, Canon versus Epson, which I like and why. The primary printers we're talking about are large format, as I do 98% of my printing on these machines. Now, I am not a brand freak like some people. I think it's absolutely ridiculous when people get all uppity and argue about what brand is better, like they founded Nikon or something like that. It's just like, who cares? Like Canon versus Nikon cameras, like they all do the same thing, right? I shot Canon cameras at first because they fit my hand better. I have more access to Canon lenses, but essentially they were the same thing. Different Canon models have better features than different Nikon models, which might mean that one works better for some people than others. Great. It's not about what the actual brand is, it's about what tool does the better job. I switched to Sony because they were way ahead in the mirrorless category. I still think Fujis are great cameras, Canons are great cameras, Nikons are all great cameras. They're all obviously great cameras. Personally, Sony's align with what I use my cameras for than the others, so that's what I use. Now with printers, the first photo printer I ever had was a Canon Pro 100. The thing is absolutely awful. I have a bunch of videos that have a ton of views about getting it to work because they have so many problems, and I figured out how to get them to work, but these printers are everywhere because they're really cheap for a long time. When I bought my business, I bought it from somebody else who used Canon large format printers. A Canon Pro 1000 and a Canon IPF 6400, I think is what it was called. I don't have that one anymore. This is the same Pro 4000 that I've had for over 4 years. It was used when I bought it. I absolutely love this thing. I've had to replace the purge unit, but other than that, I haven't had any issues with this thing. And when I needed to upgrade my 60-inch printer, I bought the 6100 because I love this thing so much and I wanted interchangeable inks, stuff like that. So I bought a 6100. So far, I've had great luck with that thing. It's about a year old, a little more than that. But a while back, I wanted a new small format printer to print 4x6s, 5x7s, flat sheets. You know, these printers are roll printers. I wanted something that could print flat sheets. So I've always heard the name Epson when it comes to photo printing, even probably more so than Canon. So I decided, since I hated my Canon Pro 100 so much, even though I had never used a Pro 1000, to try out an Epson for my small format. I bought an Epson SCP-900. I could have bought the smaller one, but the ink is the same price and the cartridges are half the size, which is really stupid. What's up with that, Epson? But anyways, I bought this P900 and I absolutely hate it. I have a lot of scrap paper from printing on rolls, so a lot of the stuff that I print on my little Epson is cut down from fall off from big sheets. And if the pages aren't absolutely perfectly flat, they have a really hard time feeding. Fine art paper, like that's the one that's really valuable because it's really expensive paper, so my scrap is really valuable. You can load 3 sheets at a time. Again, I'm not familiar with the Canon Pro 1000 and these details on it, but I'm just talking about my experience with my Epson. The colors are okay, but there's definitely a difference. I'm going to show you an image that was printed on my Canon and the same version printed on my Epson. So the contrast and colors are way better on the Canon print. And the Epson just errors a lot. It feeds like garbage. Like half my borderless prints have a little white edge on one side. I've dealt with customer service trying to fix that. This is actually my second P900. My first one lasted like 10 months. And it had really bad feed issues. So Epson sent me a new one, but I'm still really unhappy with this thing. And about halfway through that time, I needed to get a couple other printers for some different projects. I wanted a small die sub printer, and I wanted a more office style printer that could print decent cardstock thicknesses. And Canon's options were very slim, and Epson had these eco tanks, which are printers where you can fill the ink with a bottle, so it's way, way, way cheaper for the ink. They seemed pretty versatile, and they offered support for much thicker paper than any of the alternative brands, including Canon's. So I bought an Epson F 180, I think, die sub printer and the Epson 16650 office printer scanner. And I absolutely hate these things. They are garbage. Like, the print heads clog all the time. Like, if I don't use one of these printers pretty much every day, the print heads clog and I have to go through a ton of ink cleaning print heads, cleaning nozzles, and luckily the ink is cheap, but still it's a huge pain and it's just time consuming. So from a business perspective, they're pretty crappy. Yes, the ink is very cheap and I will give them that. There's some funky driver issues with the 16650, but I've just had really bad luck. Now, again, I'm not able to speak to the Canon counterparts because I don't own those, but I know several people that have Canon Pro 1000s and they are very happy with those printers. Every person I know with a Pro 100 hates it. If you're out there and you disagree, please leave a comment. Tell us about your experiences. My experiences are limited to these 3 Epson printers. I will add that when I've talked to different artists I've worked with that have been in schools, been in shops, been a part of an Epson workflow, they always say that their large formats are great when they work. Multiple people talk of extensive problems with them just breaking down and them always having issues. One thing is these have replaceable print heads. Epsons are not. And I've heard a lot of people complain about that. I've had to replace both print heads in here. They're about $300 a pop, but they essentially turned it into a new printer when you do that, which is great for a $4,000 printer. But those are just a handful of the experiences I've had. So if you are somebody that is looking to purchase a large format printer, I would strongly recommend an image Prograph from Canon. The new 4600s and 6600s are supposed to just be absolutely incredible. I'm sure I will know if this thing ever dies, but I've heard nothing but great things. Epsons, not so much. When it comes to the smaller format, the flat stock printers, I would strongly recommend leaning towards a Canon Pro 1000 over this Epson P900 just because I've had so many problems, especially if you print with fine art papers. And if you're a Canon Pro 1000 user and you have some input as far as the feed for fine art paper, please let us know your experience with it. But yeah, that's some of my gear. Love these printers. They're awesome. So I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions about these Canon printers, give me a shout. Please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.